Hi all, it's good to see you today.
Hello.
Hello. So as we discuss, oh, here I go again. Discuss each section of a profile using a notebook layout. We'll have our Q&A after each section, okay? Okay, is there anybody that's using the single page layout that looks differently from what they see on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and then Jody?
Hi, Jody.
Hi.
Hi, Jody. We're finding it's much easier and a lot more of the writers are moving over to the notebook style, because with the notebook style, you're able to see everything on one page. You don't have to keep scrolling down the page and go to these menus on the left as you see in single page.
Okay.
Okay, so to get to that, if you look in the upper right corner, what branch are you on? Is your profile on?
Navy.
Navy. Then in the upper right corner, you should be able to see switch to notebook layout.
Okay.
If you click that, it'll take you into the 2 page.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm pretty sure that everybody's got questions. No, I don't mind. Maybe some people can teach me today. So the first thing we're going to start with doing is that if you are going to write a story for a name that was assigned to you, we ask that you don't search the roll of honor to try and find the profile, because you have to go last name, first name. Some people are searching by last name, first name, and middle initial, or they're searching by first name, middle initial, and last name. You're not going to find the profiles. And if the dates don't have a beginning year and an ending year for their service years, they're also not going to show up on the roll of honor. So we ask, if you're going to create a profile and it's not on the same branch as your historian profile, that you log into the branch using the SBTS at admin profile. Once you do that, and you have this window here, you want to go up to your quick search and type in the first name and last name, no initials, just the first name and last name, and hit return to see if there isn't already a profile created for that person, for the fallen. If there is already a profile that you found that is created, you can reach out to us and we'll make sure that it's not locked. And if it can be reassigned, we'll reassign it. And that you're able to, then you can go to that profile and make edits, or you can add to that existing profile. But we ask that you search the branch using the quick search in the upper right-hand corner for their name.
Hey, Kim.
Yeah.
Close the members that are on the chat at the moment so they can actually see the quick search.
Oh, okay. On the chat.
Yeah, on your screen. Hang on. It's on my screen.
Okay.
Type in, we have to teach them how to do an advanced search. Type in John Smith.
Okay.
Okay, that gives you all the John Smiths, but you can actually break it down.
Go by advanced mode.
You don't have to go by advanced mode, but that will work as well.
How about you can do simple mode too? That's true.
Yeah, simple mode. All you have to do is, let's see. Yeah, advanced.
Yeah,
advanced.
because we got to go by years.
Yep.
So you want to type in Smith, the last name, John, and if you know, you can choose male. I'm sure that really wouldn't make a difference. But you want to go to their member status, correct?
Correct?
Di? Yeah, and so you want to put fallen soldiers by conflict, and you want to go to World War
No,
II.
don't even have to do that.
Okay, what?
Person type,
I know. Okay, you can go by fallen,
fallen,
right?
personnel service details. Not, that's in post-employment, dear.
Sorry. And then put the year.
Yep. the-
1941 to 1946, correct?
Yeah. That's a 9.
Okay, once you, so you can go to personal details, type in their last name, first name, scroll down, and then you want to put in personal details. You want to search by the beginning of World War II to the end of World War II. Now, if you know the year that they died, you can put the from and to years the same. Okay. And so let's say we're looking for a John Smith that died in 1942, and you know for sure that he died in 42. You could put 1942 to 1942. And then you want to come down to member status, and you want to click on fallen. Okay, once you do that, you want to hit your search button. And it's going, well, that didn't work, Di. Hold on, let's try it again.
Let me see. No, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Oh, well, there may be no John Smith that died during that time. So let's put it back to 1946. Okay. And hit search. It's really giving me issues.
Yeah.
There's
well,
one that came up.
Pulled up one.
Yeah, I pulled up one. But in other times, it may give you a list of names to the side, and then you will have to try to find out, you know, which person it is. But normally, if you have their last name, first name, in personal details, you want to put the year that they died, that you know that they died, and then put fallen. It will pull up and see if there is an existing profile. Okay, and remember, always when you hit the search tab and you see it, go to advanced mode. Okay, so are there any questions about that?
Yeah, type in John Smith again.
Okay,
Click search. Well, foo, it didn't do what I wanted it to.
no, well, I did.
Okay, go to the quick search top right, type in John Smith.
Mhm.
Okay. If you use the quick search to do a search, you have a way to break it down. If you know what rank they were, you can click that and it will drop it down, the list down further. And you can select all fallen as well.
Correct. And there would be USA active. You could also put that. You could click fallen. And then I thought
It
maybe
gives you the details on the right hand side.
correct. Then you could also choose if they were deceased. That's another. If you're searching for one that is deceased, you can search that way. You can also search if you want to clear that out. You can also search if you know what state they were from. That's another search option. And then like Diane said, you know, if you're, you know, they're infantryman or military police. So this gives you options over here to break it down. If you still, you know, want to search deeper, you can always go to the advanced mode. Okay. Any questions on that?
Did we thoroughly confuse you?
Okay. All right. So then the next thing we're going to talk about is that we are going to go.
One question. So we have to go in through the SBTS admin profile in order to do that for another branch?
For another branch, yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay,
No. You do
Well-
not have to do that. You can go through as a guest through your own profile
okay,
to whatever branch and then do a search. The results will still be the same.
okay. That's even better.
So
All
that
right,
way
thank
you don't get confused as to and start making a profile when you don't need to.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
However, if you do find that there's a profile, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you do find that they have a profile and you click on it and you want to contribute to it and you can't, you still need to let us know so if in case it's locked.
Correct.
Okay. Remember never to use the SBTS admin profile to create a profile. You always create a profile from your historian profile. Okay, does anybody have any questions about creating another cross branch?
server.
Yeah, on your service profile? From your historian profile, I should say. So we all know that we have to go to our historian profile and create that profile. Shoot. Gary, can I get your email address real quick?
You want my email address?
Yeah, I just want to show something.
Smith, ADA @comcast.net.
Okay. So let's say you're on your historian profile is now going to be in a 2-page layout and you want to create a new profile. This will be for Jody, who, if she starts using this layout, all you would do is scroll down and create a remembrance page for a veteran. It will take you to the same layout like it does when you're in a single page. Does that make sense?
It's
Jody?
just that everything is on the right-hand side rather
Correct.
than right in the middle.
Right. Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right, let me go back to where I was originally. Of course, I didn't bookmark it.
I love the back
No.
button.
Yeah. Oh, there
There
I
you
go.
go.
Okay. All right. So let's start with the service details. With service details, you enter those when you're creating that profile. But you always want to make sure that they have some type of MOS. And if you need to edit any information over here, you can click the edit button. And you want to make sure that they have a from year for their service and a 2-year from their service. If you don't put some information here, they're not going to show up on the roll of honor. Now you want to put if they're enlisted officer and choose their rank. Then you want to put their last primary MOS. So we know that he was in an infantry division. So your best bet with choosing that would be rifleman. Yeah.
Rifleman, okay.
You can choose. Yeah, you can choose rifleman. If it's another unit and you're not sure, you can type in soldier and you can choose soldier 1, 2, or 3, just kind of depending on their rank. If they were a private, you want to choose 1, or you can choose basic soldier. So there are other options to choose. Just try to make sure that there is some type of MOS here if you do not know their MOS. Now, let's say you know that they were, make sure I've got everybody in. Okay. Let's say you know that they were, I'm going to use conductor, and you can type it in and it's going to come up with an MOS. Okay. If you have some that were a gunner, you're going to come up and you're going to type in gunner and you can see where they were gunners. If they were, let's say that they flew as a, they're an officer and they were a pilot, you could just type in pilot. If you know that they were a bombardier, you can type in for the officers, bombardier. Okay, and it's going to pull up. Like if they were a navigator, you would type in navigator and you'll be able to choose an MOS. So it's just finding an MOS that you can put in here. A lot of times when you write your stories and you read through it, you may find that it mentions what they did. If they were a bombardier, and they were a pilot, or if they were a gunner, and like infantry is safe to choose rifleman. For other units, it's safe to choose soldier or basic soldier or duty soldier. Okay, so for him, we're just going to go ahead and type in. There is nothing that you can type in for infantry, sadly, but we'll just put that in there. And so then you want to make sure that you save this. Okay. Now let's talk about when it comes to service stripes. It's in the checklist. Service stripes were earned every 3 years. You have to make sure that they served 3 years. I see on quite a number of profiles, they'll have a service stripe and they were only in for 2 years. So you need to make sure that they only have that 1 year. For overseas stripes, they get one for every 6 months that they're in theater in combat.
So if they were killed before the 3 years, do they get a stripe or not?
Yes, because they were overseas.
No.
No,
No,
I thought
no,
we
no.
were giving it to
He-
them.
He's talking about stripes.
Are you talking about the overseas bars?
Yes.
Okay,
So that, do they have to be overseas at full 3 years, or what if they've fallen before that?
No,
Okay, yes.
you're confusing them.
I'm
That-
confused.
Overseas bars are the small, short bars that go at the bottom of the sleeve,
Right.
and they're vertical. Those are combat stripes. You get one for every 6 months that you're overseas.
Oh, 6 months.
The
sorry.
hash marks, which are kind of horizontal, those are for the years of service. And you get those on Army for every 3 years. On
Okay.
Coast Guard, Navy, and Marines, it's every 4 years.
So if they were killed before 3 years, do they get a stripe or not?
They get the overseas bar.
The overseas bar. What if they were killed before 6 months? Do they get the overseas bar?
No. You would have to know when they arrived with the unit and
Right.
when the unit arrived in theater.
In theater.
Mhm.
So if they were staged in England, is that still in theater or not?
Yes,
It is. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
What is the example that is here on this page?
Yeah, I'll show you real quickly.
What is that
Okay.
the overseas, or is that the
Okay,
Service
that is his rank right there.
his rank?
Okay.
Okay.
Right, so if he was there, let's say he served 3 years, and let's say he was overseas for 6 months of combat, okay? And you want to save that in theater. So this is the diagonal service stripe for the 3 years, for every 3 years, okay?
Okay.
And this is your overseas bar,
Okay.
okay? And Diane, I thought that if they died in combat overseas, in theater, they got that overseas bar.
I will have to check that, but I think it's by date.
Okay. Because it seems like they weren't possible for them to do the 6 months, but they were in theater and combat.
Mhm.
I thought that they got that overseas bar.
I'll
So,
have to
well-
double check that one.
Yeah, we'll double check that. So are there any questions? When it comes to assigning the primary unit and you can't find the unit, please reach out to us. And so we can get it added to the database. If you could include a link to their profile page, if you were to click on their name, you would just copy this, put it in the email, and then put the unit that you were looking for. And then we can help you from there, okay? If you cannot find it. But a lot of times you can type in infantry or you can type in 80th and it's going to pull up several things. If you know it was the 80th Infantry, type up 80th Infantry. So any questions on that one? All right, so any questions about service details? Okay, the next thing we're going to move on to is the remembrance information.
Laura had a question. She's in chat.
I'm sorry, all right. I have to go to chat again, sorry. Okay, if the remember the vet attended a military academy, does that from year include the first year at the academy?
No.
No, they were not officially sworn into the service yet. They were not active duty. Okay. However, you can put under colleges or where they attended academy, you can look under formal schools or you can look under, you know, colleges attended and put ROTC or what they were, where they went. Okay. Next one is your personal details. Again, you know, you want to make sure the last address is not where they were in theater. Their last address would have been where they were from. Okay. You always want to try to make sure you put in that birth date. So if you have to make additions over here after you've created the profile, and all you do is click on edit. Each section has an edit. Each section has a save or submit details. Always make sure that you do that. Our military service numbers, you can actually put the O in, some are T, you may see a 3. You can enter that and then put the rest of the service number in here. Now, you want to put if they were killed in action or, you know, finding of death, please make sure that you fill that out. Now, the only time, I'm going to let Diane explain this a little bit farther, is when they are deceased and the difference between deceased and fallen.
Okay. Deceased is someone who may have gone on leave back home and were killed in a car accident or died of a heart attack or, you know, whatever circumstance it was. They are still serving, but they died outside of the theater of battle. If someone is overseas, like they are on R&R in London and they die in a car accident, they are still technically in theater and they are counted by in statistics as fallen. So they would be, the cause would be died of wounds or other circumstances, whichever one it would be. But they are still, their status is fallen and you would create it as a fallen profile.
So I have done a bunch of nurses
Mhm.
that have died on base,
Mhm.
like in a car accident or something like that, or a fire. So what would those be considered?
Depends on where the base is.
Oh, okay. I've done some that are in the States and some that are overseas.
Overseas would be fallen.
Okay,
In the States would be deceased.
okay, great, thank you.
And if you need us to change the status, let us know.
Okay,
Right, and you want to explain to them about, like, if they are in states and they die on a test, a flight.
Right.
Right.
If there, we had WACs and that were test pilots, and several of them were lost during training. Those are considered deceased. unless there has been special dispensation, and there has been for a few of them, where they were awarded a Purple Heart. Those would be considered fallen. I know that the rules are kind of iffy, but if you do your research on those particular women, you will probably find a news article that said they were now considered fallen and given a Purple Heart.
Okay. And then when you come down to your location of interment, you want to put where they were, the state, and what cemetery it is. If you find that we don't have that cemetery listed for that state, again, reach out to us and we'll get the cemetery added for you. Make sure you send the profile link because we'll add it for you. Okay. Okay, so do we have any questions on the personal details?
Kim, on the last address, if we don't really know, I mean, we obviously know their hometown, but we may know where they entered the service at. Like a lot of Army guys in Pennsylvania went to New Cumberland Army Depot. So should New Cumberland like be their last address or their hometown?
It would be their hometown, Gary. If you can
Okay.
find maybe a census, the last census with them on it.
Yeah, a lot of censuses have street addresses too.
Uh-huh. During
Right.
that time they did.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Now, remember, if you have to, when you're editing or adding to, make sure to save your personal details.
Hey, Kim,
Yeah,
I have a quick comment on the personal details for the serial number.
yes.
If it's an officer, I just wanted to comment that I've noticed on some that people are putting zeros as opposed to the letter O.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore because when you go to add it, the drop down is already populated
Okay.
with the alphabet. So you have to select O.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, the next section we come to is official badges and unofficial badges. On the whole, that you're not going to have to worry about any of this. We do want to make sure if they were a Gold Star family member, the Gold Star was awarded to the mother. It was not awarded to the service member. So you would not put the Gold Star here. Okay.
Nor would you put the Pearl Harbor
Right.
medallion.
Yeah, or the ruptured duck, by discharge. So this is pretty much going to remain with no official badges.
The only change would be a infantry cord, which
Yes,
is on Army.
right. And that's what's kind of funny because sometimes you may have to look at official badges and unofficial badges for that. I forget which one that they put it into.
Infantry is unofficial.
It's unofficial. Okay. Now, when we come to the stories, I need to stress to please, when you have your story and you're using the notebook layout, please look at how your story appears. And if you see that there needs to be a spaces, a line between paragraphs, please click edit and then put the returns. And so there's a line between your paragraphs. Otherwise, it just kind of all runs together. The first biggie is your story is not to be in last known activity. It is to be in comments and citations. If it shows up and you put it in last known activity, it is not going to show up on fold 3 when we push the information over. It needs to be in the comments and citations. Okay, so if you were to edit this, it's going to show you, and everything comes up on the right. It's going to show, okay, well, it's in last known activity. Do a copy and paste it in here, and then clear it out of here. Okay, and make sure that you're always saving your details. So I would just go in and do a Control V and then come up here, and then I would just cut it out. Okay. And then you want to save that. But if you know you need to put spaces between, you may see it here, but it all depends if you're coming from like Google Docs, or you're coming from what, Apple Pages, I believe. So you want to make sure, okay, well, I know that my paragraphs are running together. So that means obviously that one line is not enough. I'm going to have to add another. So you can see where now we have that line between the paragraphs. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that?
I just want to say, I have that problem continuing. This is actually one of my stories.
Oh,
I'll
okay,
see the spaces, and then when you go and roll of honor, it's all run together. I
right,
see the spaces, but it doesn't go, I don't know what happens.
right. And you'll see them like when but like I said, it's showing for us too. You see where it shows the spaces
Yes.
here? Well, when you know that your story is running together, you want to come after each paragraph and add another line.
I done that. The last one I did, I added 3 lines in between and it still was run together.
Okay, when that happens,
It may not have updated.
Okay.
It can sometimes take up to 24 hours to update.
Oh, well, this one, yeah, it was still running together. I have no idea. And it doesn't happen all the time. It only happens some of the time.
Kim, real quick, can you go to edit?
Yep. Right.
On that box, quick source.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
you're gonna have a break.
It's got up at the top.
Yeah, it's not, they're not putting, yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to see. Arial font size. It's got a little bit of code, but not a whole lot that would do that, but it's
Right.
doing.
It looks like
It-
because I did a return, you're gonna have a break, and then you have where it ends the paragraph. And there should be another,
Yeah,
break in
breaks
there.
throughout that, but
Right.
it's not showing
Right,
up.
showing up, yeah. So,
As a test when you're posting, go to the end of a paragraph and see if your cursor shows up in the middle of it. If it does not, then you need to insert a break.
right, and a break is just hitting return on your story.
Okay, so do what? So on one where you haven't already?
Yeah,
Right. If you go back and you look at your stories and they're running together, just go in and let's see. Looks like this was one paragraph, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to go in and just put another line in there, even though
you're
see
going
it-
too fast, Kim. They can't see what you're doing.
Jesus Christ.
That if you click on the end of the paragraph and you move over and you try to put your cursor in between the paragraph and the next paragraph and it does not go,
Right. So
then
at
you
the-
need to insert a
Right.
return.
I'm at the end of World War II. I'm trying to put my cursor between these 2 lines and I can't. So we know that there is not in the code a line, a blank line in there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, that is one way that I didn't even think about explaining it that way. I'll go ahead and do this right here and then go ahead and save it. Okay, Margaret. You were saying Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. May I ask why? Okay. All right, so is there any questions about posting your story and comments and citations? If your story is running together, if you can't, and you hit edit and you cannot put your cursor between this line and that line, you know that you have to hit a return at the end of the previous line. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, all right, we are going to go to ribbons. And I'm gonna let Diane take this over from the ribbons.
Gee,
Okay.
thanks.
You're welcome.
The only problem I have with ribbons is the POW ribbon. Actually, there's 3 of them. The POW ribbon, unless you have records that state that he was an actual POW, taken prisoner and died in prison, or survived and came home, but was a prisoner, he would not get a POW ribbon. If they were part of an air crew and the plane went down and it went down behind the enemy lines and they don't know where he went, he would not get a POW ribbon because they were awarded specifically to POWs. And in your research, you'll find all sorts of information on POWs. So you pretty much know who is and who isn't. On the good conduct medal, good conduct is only awarded for a full enlistment, which is 3 years or 4 years, depending on the service branch. If they did not complete that period of time, they would not have a good conduct ribbon. Let me see, what was the third one? Oh, hail.
Let's see, little notes here. Oh, we don't have any. Your
It was-
aerial and bomb air badges, we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, when you're, Yeah.
Oh yeah. My email yesterday about the Bronze Star for Army, that if they earn the Combat Infantryman's badge or the Combat Medic badge, they would have a Bronze Star. If they did not get either one of those, they would not automatically get a Bronze Star.
and that's for Army.
Army only.
Okay, when you're in your ribbon bar, right here, you have add, and you will have to go in and add each individual ribbon. So you would, let's say you're doing the prisoner of war, let's say you would click on that and it's going to come up. And this is where it's going to ask you how many, let's like air medals for Air Force. Let's say they've got 5 or 6 air medals, then you would just click that and put how many air medals they were awarded. You don't necessarily have to worry about putting the years, because if you were to click 5, it's going to give you 5 different years. If you weren't sure of the years, then just go ahead and leave that alone, but at least get the number that they got correct. Okay. On many of these, does anybody have questions about what medals they were awarded that were already given to them? They would get the World War II, they would get their theater ribbon, and they would get the American Campaign Medal. And if they got the Purple Heart, the Purple Heart. If they got the Bronze Star, the Bronze Star. And then there are minimal few that have National Guard awards that you were able to find if they served in the Guard. Enlisted in officer basic training is very hard for any branch. You know, if you know where they went to boot camp, you can add the year, the location, and then just save that. Okay.
Except on Army.
Except on Army, yeah. Well, no, you can add location.
Not just location itself. You can't. You have to choose the unit.
Okay. Let's go to enlisted training. 1944. You choose your location. Let's see what happens. It looks like you can, Diane.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you could. So if you know the location, you can add the location. And you don't have to worry about trying to find out what regiment or anything, but you should be able to, you can do this for each branch. Okay,
What were the 3 automatic ribbons again? The World
They're
War II campaign?
yes, the World War II campaign, they're gonna get their theater operations, as they were in the Pacific or the European. They're gonna get their theater ribbon. And then they're also going to get the American campaign,
Gotcha.
okay?
Thank you.
If after December 7th, if
Yes.
before December 7th, it's American Defense,
Fence, right,
and they would have both.
yeah. Okay, our next one is when we come to our units.
One question before you get beyond that, on the CIB, if it was an intermediate soldier and he was killed, does he automatically get the CIB?
Yes,
Yeah, if you
How about
died,
if
you died in
he's-
campaign.
if he was infantry, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about if he was infantry, served in combat and came home or died later? Would he still get a CIB?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
welcome.
And a question on the Bronze Star.
Mhm.
The one I researched, he was awarded the Bronze Star. Now he's fallen. But did you say that if they had those 3 others, they received the Bronze Star as well?
Yes, if they received a CIB, Combat Infantryman's Badge,
Right?
or they received a Combat Medic's Badge,
Okay,
they were given a Bronze Star retroactively.
okay. So
That was decided in 1947.
in 47, and there was something that you were written about having a V on it?
Right.
right,
Only those that were awarded the Bronze Star at the time of service
Okay,
that were received the Valor would have a
Okay.
V on it.
they would have the V. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else is just a Bronze Star.
Okay, very good.
So if they got the Bronze Star while they were fighting, they automatically get the V device?
No,
no,
Oh, okay.
okay. Adding their unit assignments. Hopefully you were able to do that when you created the profile. If you do not know the unit, like I said, if we were gonna search and let's just say we were gonna add the 80th, okay? So you would just type in the 80th and it's gonna pull up several units, okay? And you can choose the one he was with the 80th Infantry Division. Normally there's a division and then there's a group or a regiment or a battalion that they were with. They on the Army, they build it by peers. So if you see that they were in the 80th Division, let's just say they were in the 80th Infantry Group, under that, you would add both of those. Okay. And like I said, if just type in keywords of the unit, it's going to pull information up. If it does not pull up and you cannot find the unit, reach out to us on this. Okay.
and it may be the spelling, it may be the abbreviations that you may be using that make it so that you can't find it. But we've been doing this a long time, so we know all the ins and outs and shortcuts and things that the search engine understands. So we'll try to find it for you and add it to the profile for you.
Okay. When we come to formal schools that you see here, once in a while you're going to find, like on Air Force or even with the Army, they were in training at a flight school. We do have pilot in training, which you can also put up here if they were an officer. And then you can also add their formal school, and you could let's say we're typing, no, I would have to make him an officer, wouldn't I?
Probably.
Yeah. let's say he was in flight training at a base, and you know what base it was, and that he was in flight training. So you want to type in flight training, or try that, or just try, it doesn't go by locations, but try, pilot and see what courses come up. Type training and see what courses come up. And if you cannot find something that fits the training school that he was at, please let us know and we'll get it added to the formal schools so we can show that he was with that unit, when he was a pilot in training. Okay. Now we also have a new feature when it comes to combat and non-combat operations. If you are not sure, but you've got a couple of keywords, you want to go up to search again. You want to put on your drop-down menu. You don't have to go in advanced mode. Drop-down menu, you're going to put battles participated in. And let's say you're not sure of the battle, but you've got a key name. Okay, let's say somebody give me a name of operation they're looking for. Anybody? No? Okay. Let's just
Overlord.
say, huh?
Overlord.
Okay,
That's
so
an
you want,
easy one.
yeah. So you want to type just keywords, or you can even type a location. In battle descriptions, just enter that in battles and hit search. And it's going to come up, and if it finds anything, it's going to highlight it under whatever battles that it was involved in. It is also, most of the time, will have dates of when it happened. Okay. If you cannot find anything, then please reach out to us and let us know that you're looking for an operation. Let's say that this one was in Italy. You're going to come up with a ton of stuff. So you can have your European operations, your Po Valley, Operation Strangle. It's going to tell you about different areas and when it happened. Okay. Some of these, like I said, will have dates. And if the person that was fallen didn't die during the date of an operation that you see, there, you don't add it to their profile. Okay. So it just,
You
like I
can
said,
also search by unit. Type in
Yeah.
82nd Airborne.
82nd. That's true, because most of the time Roger's been putting the units involved. So then you see the 1, 2, 3, 4 that the 82nd Airborne was in and what the dates were. Okay. So that's, it's a new feature. So play with it if you're trying to search for a battle. One of the things I have suggested to Roger, they are going to date these. Okay. They are going to date them. So hopefully that when we search for a battle, we'll be able to search by dates also. Okay.
One thing that's kind of tricky about these are, for example, if you have a member of an air crew, but it was a replacement air crew, and you don't know exactly when they came into theater, but you know when they died in theater.
Right.
And so that makes it real difficult, even though the unit that he's in participated in some of these operations.
Right.
Right.
You're not sure what his start date was, whether or not it overlaps.
Right. Normally, it's probably just safer to put the theater of operation
Yeah.
instead of picking an operation.
When I do that, I just use the umbrella as
Mhm.
opposed to, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
works.
yeah. Definitely. This is just an added feature that if you're having problems trying to find something, let's say you're going to that drop-down menu and you can't find anything. You can also type in, like I said, go to search and go to battles participated in. It's just a little extra that you can look. And like Diane said, search by unit. You can search by a keyword of the operation, because I've had some reach out to me that say, I'm looking for this operation. Well, it may be listed, let's say maybe it is under a different operational name, but you can type in the name of the operation, or you can type in the location and see if it pulls up. If not, then let us know. Okay. All right. The next thing we're going to come to is make sure that you are adding your SBTS and your affiliation for the writers. And then you want to add, if they were Arlington, the A and C. And if they are fallen, you want to type in World War II fallen, and you're going to pull that affiliation up and add it. The other one that you can add is in the line of duty. As Diane was explaining, some of the nurses. Let's say they're overseas and they died in theater, but it was a car accident. You can put in the line of duty. Now, Diane, I think they can put the line of duty if they were doing flights in the States. Couldn't they, if they were doing
Yeah,
military flights?
that's the one I
Yes.
prefer. In the line of duty
Yeah.
is for stateside. If they were overseas and were involved in an accident, they're still considered fallen.
World War II fallen.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. So scratch out what I said. If they're overseas and they're in some kind of car accident or something like that, put World War II fallen because they are fallen. If it's in the States, they're deceased, but they were doing a military flight, then it's in the line of duty. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is photos. On your check sheets, there are a list of photos that are to be made non-military. You know, if you want to you've uploaded a bunch of photos, okay? And let's say you've made them all military, knowing that some of them are non-military, all right? It's like a perfect example here. It's like grave sites are non-military. Compensation cards are non-military. A KIA list is non-military. Burial cards, interment, they're all non-military. Patches are non-military. Newspaper articles are non-military. And this is all on the checklist. One of the things that we do ask that you do, if you need to change one, let's say that this is a non-military photo, okay? You can click edit and simply click on is non-military photo and hit save photo details. If it's asking for a category, just choose other photos, okay? But make it non-military. And then it's going to take you back to here once you've done that. Now, one of the things we ask is that you flag your photos. Okay, you flag all of your photos, military and non-military. You flag them all. So when you look at their profile, you will see all the photos come up, and they will also show on the roll of honor that way. So these are going to be visible to people. Okay.
And
Now,
the reason we ask you to do that is because there are so many of these and there are so many being created during the day that they all should, if they're military, they all show up on our homepage. And for people that are just joining the site, if they see latest photos are all about dead people, they're not going to return to the site and create their
Right.
own military service history because they think it's just, you know, for remembrance. So we ask you to go and do this for that reason.
an example is like for Air Force, if I was to go to home on Air Force, you can do this for your own pages also. If this is our latest photos. Our latest photos should be like bases, ships, service photos. A lot of people don't understand. Now, if they don't have a service photo and you find a college photo, it's okay to go ahead and add it in, you know, just for the World War II. So they have some type of photo because they do the same thing for the Vietnam because of the wall of faces. there's a lot of people that don't just, I get surprised at when I go through these photos, that for the service photo, they've added, please don't add their gravestone marker. Please don't add a monument as their service photo. It needs to be a photo of them. Okay. And not a photo of when they were a very, very young child. You would be surprised at some of the photos I see our living members add, you know. See, they can
Da-
add
Daily.
daily. I get guys that add their motorcycles, or their hot rod cars, or, you know, all kinds of things. It's a service photo. That's why I try to put across to them. And so, like Diane said, if people came in and all they saw was interment cards or grave markers, they wouldn't keep looking. They wouldn't come back. They're looking for people they might know. So that is why we ask that that is done. All right. One more thing I would like to go over, and then I'm gonna let Diane explain about the Air Force badges. Gary, I'm not picking on you, okay? He's smiling, yeah, okay.
Okay,
Now, I know that for Gary, he has put it's not known for a lot of things. Now, if I was to search and I was to look through the story, I see not known, not known, not known. I would start personally to think, okay, well, we really didn't know a lot about, you know, everything is not known. You know, it's like, you know, it's not known if he was awake or sleeping, that maybe when they thought, you know, had died. We don't know if they, like, when it says, you know, but the line of work is not known. I would just really leave that part out, because it seems like we don't really, we don't know much about this person, but what we do know, we want that to show. But like when you say the line of work is not known, it is not known if this is where he worked prior to entering the Army. If you have something that says that's what he was doing, you know, when you say right here, she remarried, when he registered for the draft in 1942, he worked at T.O. Cockle in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. I would really just leave it at that instead of saying we don't know this, we don't know this. Because there's many things that are unknown about when somebody has fallen. It's not known if they were, some people are missing in action, so we don't know if they drowned or if they were killed. You know, this up here, like you have right here, where it's unknown, not reported about his death, that's perfectly fine. That says a lot right there. And now when you say it is not known where PFC Greenwood was initially buried, that I'm okay with. I really am. A lot of our fallen, we really don't know the exact circumstances of them being fallen or how they died. So personally, excuse me. So personally, I would like to see, you know, not a whole of not known. The not known of where he was initially buried is perfect. Circumstances surrounding his death are not known. We know that he's deceased, and what, you know, where it happened and stuff, or where, you know, he was deployed, but not knowing the exact circumstances. We could say that for every one of our fallen almost. That's like saying like on the Arizona, we could say, well, it's not known, he may, you know, he got up in the morning and it's not known if he was taking a shower or if he was eating, but we do know that he was killed on the Arizona. Am I making sense? I know Gary's gonna say something to me about this. But that is something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, we'd rather highlight what you do know rather than what you don't.
Right, right. Okay, so Air Force. You have a profile, Diane?
Let me see. No, I don't at the moment. Hang on.
Here we go. I'm
That'll
gonna
work.
use this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, if you click on badges and hit scroll down to USAAF, use USAAF badges because they are the appropriate badges for the time
Correct.
period.
Your crew.
If they were an aerial gunner, select aerial gunner. If they were a navigator, select navigator. If they were a pilot, select the pilot. If you have that information for them, if you don't know exactly what their position was, although Air Force crew member lists are pretty accurate and usually have a lot of information in them, then don't add the badge. If you can't confirm it, don't add it.
Right.
But always use the USAAF badges rather than the current ones.
Okay. Any questions on that?
And if they happen to qualify for more than one badge, if you select it and drag it over to the top, it appears above the ribbons. If you select one and drag it over below, it appears below the ribbons.
And these you don't have to save. Once you click it, you can do profile view and didn't go below.
No, I didn't.
Mm-mm.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, that's Navy too. Navy goes above and below. Maybe Air Force does not
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
because they're Army, technically.
Right. What if we did this? Let's say they have a different badge. Let's say they got a bayonet badge. That, if you click that, I believe that's going to show below. You can't drag and drop. Oh, you can't. Okay. Fair.
Same category. They both appear above.
Right.
Now we know.
Yeah.
See, we learn something about this website every day.
Yeah. And then we both have different ways that we go about stuff so that we always learn from each other again. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Like I didn't realize about when in the stories, I didn't realize, Laura, that if I couldn't put my cursor between the lines. Now you would think I would know that, but I didn't realize if I can't put my cursor between the lines, I need another return. So that's something I learned today. Okay, does anybody have any questions about anything? American Battlefield monuments.
Yeah, American Battlefield Monuments is there as an association for anybody that DAPA has identified their remains. They were originally listed on the wall of the missing or on any memorial anywhere around the world. And a rosette is given to the family, and a rosette is placed on the wall next to their name. And that means that their remains have been identified. That is why you would add that.
Another thing that I would like to bring up is ensuring that correct dates are entered for the casualty date. Okay. Sometimes we will find that this information isn't filled out because the person did not look on Find a Grave. And so then we have to either send them a note and say, fix this, or we have to fix it. But we'll find that information on Find a Grave. We've had them, the casualty date wrong because they didn't look on Find a Grave and see the actual grave marker that said 1945. Okay. So we ask that you do look at Find a Grave and look for this person. Okay. And then we also ask that any documentation that you may have found on them, and a picture of their grave marker are added to the profile photo album, because it is all historical, and you want all of that to be shown when it's uploaded to Fold 3 and when somebody looks on the Roll of Honor for the Stories Behind the Stars. We want them to see that information that was found, and people are interested in documents of people. You know, they like to see, oh, here's where they registered in, and here's a copy of their interment, and here's a copy of a muster roll. Muster rolls are also non-military. So, you know, but that information is
Or look on their draft card and see that they were 5'10" with blue eyes and ruddy complexion.
right, because that kind of makes them real. I mean, they can imagine that person, you know. So, okay. Any questions, since Diane and I have confused you today?
I don't have a question, but I'm going to say something. If there's anybody new to this, doing this training, I mean, I've been doing this like a year. This was kind of overwhelming for me, because sometimes you can't find those badges. You can't find that information, but don't give up, because there's so much to learn about the individual. And being perfect on this is not.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
But it's, I mean, I didn't know about adding more pictures. I didn't know about adding a picture of the monument at the cemetery.
Right.
And I was the example, the person who put the story in the wrong category. And
Sorry.
no, that's fine, because, you know, I'm doing my best. We want to honor all these people.
Right.
And if you're new to this, you will love it.
Yeah. Once you get started, do some, especially in this format, because everything is on one page for you. It is not a single page where you have to go through menus and try and find different things. And then get back to the profile. You know, it's all right here, and it all has an edit or an add button. You know, and if there's something you can't find, please reach out to us. Please reach out to us. One thing about your stories is that please don't interject what you may think. Okay. You know, some people put it is thought, or I believe, you know, it is believed, you know, those types of things. Because what your stories are about, yes, it's about their history and how they've fallen, but they want to make the stories need to be about the fallen member. It's about their life. And
I have several questions to ask.
Sure.
The first one, I'm currently researching an air crew that was shot down, and all but a couple of the crew were killed in action.
Mm-hmm.
But they, in fact, had dropped their bombs on target, and they were returning to the rally point when they were shot down. That particular mission was awarded a duck. And my question to you is, does the fallen get the duck?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question I have,
Excuse me, what's a duck?
a distinguished unit citation.
Okay.
The next question I have is, in the service detail area, there's a section there for previously held MOS.
yes.
Mhm.
And it seems like sometimes when I try to edit that and actually add it, it won't allow me to do it. Can you help me understand what I'm doing wrong?
Sure. Previously held MOSs come from your unit assignments.
Correct.
So if you click on the unit
Okay.
and then click edit. Did we get the secondary MOS fixed?
Yes.
Okay, click that.
Okay. Well, there's no MOS listed. That's we made him rifleman, didn't we? A
Yeah.
rifleman. And then say there's a secondary MOS that he carried while in that unit.
You can put it there.
Right. So let's say he's the cameraman.
So the secondary MOS will show up as the previously held MOS?
This, well, no,
We're going,
I
we're
get
going to
that
see,
backwards?
hang
Wait.
on, we're going to test it.
Okay,
right. So no, it doesn't. A previously held, it'll show up when you look at the details of that unit. Okay, you're gonna be able to see both MOSs, all right? Now,
So,
with the MOS, if he was in a unit previously, okay, let's say he was in a different unit, correct?
okay,
When he held a different MOS, when you add that unit, then you will add the MOS that he held at that time,
okay,
if
okay?
he was in the same unit,
okay,
and you still want to show the previously held MOS, add the
Yeah.
unit again.
Twice,
okay, all right. I'll try that.
okay.
And then Diane, I heard you say earlier about the good conduct medal.
Uh-huh.
You said that it was awarded only for full enlistment.
Mhm.
So by definition, does that mean a fallen would never get a good conduct medal?
Correct.
Okay.
It was left to the discretion of the CO, and unless we can document it, we don't add it.
Okay.
Right.
And then the last one I got, which was just a pet peeve, and it,
No problem. We have lots of them.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, I submitted this and I wonder if it happened. I've had a number of aircrew members die from training crashes in
Right.
England, but England was never a choice. It was always
United Kingdom,
Okay.
UK.
yeah. Jean, why don't you email us about that and then,
Well,
I've put it in Lloyd's inbox.
okay.
did you?
All right.
Okay,
I
okay.
was just checking to see if it'd been fixed yet.
No.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
I have a
Anything
question.
else? Sure.
I'm working on a story for a soldier who was on the HTM, or was it HMS Rona, that was
Uh-huh.
bombed in the Mediterranean. He has a cenotaph in Arlington National Cemetery, but the date of death is incorrect. In fact, all I have is 1942. And Find the Grave has the same thing. I guess the best thing to do would be to try to get Find the Grave to update the information with the story and do the best you can that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Ancestry bought Find a Grave,
Yeah,
all the information is pushed over to Ancestry from Find a Grave,
Okay.
just like it does from us to Fold 3. So you would have to find whoever owns that particular
profile.
post and contact them and give them your documentation as to what the dates were, and they'll fix it.
Yeah, just tell them,
Okay.
hey, here's a slap in the head, you need to fix this, so.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? And I'm sorry if I sound scatterbrained a little bit, which I'm listening to myself and I do. I've got other projects going on that have been taking up our time. Diane knows. But yes, any questions that you have, don't hesitate, please. You know, Diane and I can answer them. In the email, I sound less scatterbrained sometimes, so. But I promise to be better. Once I get this other thing off, I want to say a monkey on my back, but don't laugh. So any other
It
questions?
never ends, Kim.
I know. Look, I've already got you on stuff today. Is anybody, any questions at all or any suggestions?
I would just like to say a big thanks to kind of an atta-girl, atta-boy to Diane and Lloyd. Occasionally TWS kind of does something wonky for no explainable reason.
Yeah.
And, the quick online chat has always been extremely responsive and quick, and every time the problem has been fixed. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, they're really great on the online chat. Yeah. I've been told I'm supposed to stay away from that because I have these other duties I'm supposed to be doing. So occasionally you'll see me there. But yeah, they're really a great team for that. So
Thank you.
I keep telling Diane, she can never quit. So Lori can never quit. We're just all gonna grow old here. So
We're gonna die with a computer in our hands.
yes. And I am so glad. You're very welcome. And like I said, any questions, let us know. Just email the stories behind the SBTS at togetherweserve.com, please. All right. So with that, we will call it a day. I want to thank everybody for being here. And I guess that's really all I have to say, unless you want me to sing you a song. So,
Please no.
all right. You all take care of yourselves.
All right,
All
thank you
Bye
very
all.
much.
All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye.